Alright. We are live. It's the chosen one, it's the guided one, it's the guided one, it's the chosen one, it's the man with the pitcher of water. And I'm coming to pour out some knowledge today. Okay, so today we're gonna get started, right? So I'm just gonna dive right into it. We're gonna be talking about surgery. We're gonna talk about surgical masks, the ones they're trying to force you to wear. And then we're going to talk about how a vaccine is a type of surgery being performed on you when they push a needle past the subcutaneous level of your skin. Sub meaning under, cutaneous meaning skin, subcutaneous when the needle goes through there. They're performing surgery on you, right? So first we're going to tackle the definition of surgery, because I was trying to start a video before, but my phone didn't have enough memory, so it didn't record the whole thing. So I'm starting all over right now, and we're in this. We're going to do this. Let's get it. Alright, so surgery is, let's zoom in, right? Let's make sure we get this down. Y'all can see this, right? Boom, bada bing. Surgery is a medical specialty that uses operative, manual, and instrumental techniques on a person to investigate or treat a pathological condition such as disease or injury, to help improve bodily function or appearance, or to repair unwanted ruptured areas. So by definition, if you guys have any of these things, then if you're susceptible to any of these things, right, or experiencing any of these things, then surgery would be the procedure that you would need done, right? But none of you who are just sitting at home listening to the TV about coronavirus, right? You're just sitting there listening to the TV tell you what to do. And then when they roll out these vaccines, right? When they roll out these, oh, you need to wear a mask to go somewhere and eat. You need to wear a mask to, shop. You need to wear a mask to, walk outside. And you guys are ridiculous. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not looking up these definitions, right? Now, how this relates to a vaccine, right? Let's keep reading. I'm going to show you how it relates. The act of performing surgery, right? Which, by the way, also, if none of you are need to be investigated or treated for a pathological condition, because none of you have it, right? None of you have it. And so, let's see here. Yeah, none of you have the disease, right? None of you have been tested or diagnosed with it. I'm sure none of you need to improve your bodily function, and I'm sure coronavirus has nothing to do with that. Or else, because that would mean you're already susceptible, and if you're already susceptible, then you'd have it by now, since it's so rampant and spread around the world within a couple of weeks, right? You'd have it by now. So this is a farce. I'm not saying the act of performing surgery. I'm saying that the fact that they will push this on to saying you need this surgery done, which is a needle entering your body for appearance or to repair unwanted ruptured areas, right? And none of you have those either, right? So the act of performing surgery may be called a surgical procedure, operation, or simply surgery. In this context, the verb operate means to perform surgery. The adjective surgical means pertaining to surgery. Surgical instruments, boom, and we'll go over those. Or a surgical nurse. The person or subject on which the surgery is performed can be a person or animal. A surgeon is a person who practices surgery, and a surgeon's assistant is a person who practices surgical assistance. A surgical team is made up of a surgeon's assistant anesthesist, circulating nurse, and a surgical technologist. It's a team of 4, maybe more. And I learned that in surgical tech school. It's really interesting. Oh, mashallah, they have a Muslim picture. Mashallah. That's really good. Surgery usually spans minutes to hours, but it is typically not an ongoing or periodic type of treatment. The term surgery can also refer to the place where surgery is performed, or in British English, simply the office of a physician, dentist, or veterinarian. Types of surgery. Boom. Elective surgery. Semi-elective surgery. Right. So the elective is done to correct non-life-threatening condition or carried out at a person's request, subject to the surgeon's and surgical facilities' availability. A semi-elective is one that is done to avoid permanent disability or death, but can be postponed for a short time. Emergency surgery is which must be done without any delay to prevent death or serious disabilities and loss of limbs and function, based on purpose. Exploratory surgery is performed to aid or confirm a diagnosis. Diagnostic method. Check that out, right? Therapeutic surgery treats a previously diagnosed condition. Cosmetic surgery is done to subjectively improve the appearance or otherwise normal structure by type of procedure. Amputation. It's cutting off, right? Resection is the removal of internal organs. You have segmental, can be a smaller region of the organs, as like hepatic or broncho, like that is the lungs or whatever. Excision is cutting, cutting out or removal of any organ, tissue, or the body part. Extirpation is a complete excision or surgical destruction. Replantation, right? Involves reattaching. Reconstructive, right? You got transplant. You got bi-body part, right? By degree of evasiveness of surgical procedures, minimally invasive surgery involves smaller outer incisions to insert miniaturized instruments within a body cavity or structure, as in laparoscopic surgery or angioplasty. By contrast, an open surgical procedure such as laparotomy requires a large incision, right? By equipment used, laser, you have scalpel, you have microsurgery, right? Microsurgery, which is, hold on, let's get this situated. Microsurgery is operating under a microscope, right? So those of you who don't believe in nanotechnology, they do study these things at a microscopic level, and they do surgery at a microscopic level. So bada boom, bada bing. Anyway, so yeah, you have all these different, even robotic surgery. That's a thing also. You have all these different classifications of surgery, right? But minimally invasive surgery, so it's outer incision, right, which is like a needle, that's technically an incision, right, to insert miniaturized instruments within the body cavity or structure, right, that's a portion of it too, right, and we'll get to the definition of a needle and whether or not it's a surgical instrument and whatnot, but one second, let me scroll down here. So some terminology, excision surgery names often start with the name of the organ and end in an ectomy, right? This is like a removal. Oh yeah, it's right there, cut out. I can't believe I retained some of this information from school. Procedures involving cutting into an organ usually mean otomy, yeah, which is like, yeah. Like the abdominal, like laparotomy, abdominal cavity. minimally invasive, involving small incisions through which an endoscope, like endoscopy and endoscopy, or I don't know how to pronounce it, endoscope, right? I will do that later, but endoscope is a form of a needle also. Procedures for formation of a permanent or semi-permanent opening called a stoma usually end in ostomy. Reconstruction, plaster, repair or damage ends in this. They teach you in this medical terminology. They teach you all these prefixes and suffixes, which will basically tell you what type of surgery it is. So if you study the prefix and suffix of these medical terms, you'll basically know what kind of surgeries are out there. Like, you'll be a pretty good expert, actually. Some medical system that's practiced routinely performing chest x-rays, blood donations prior to surgery, right, which is this is pre-operative surgery, right? So they can perform certain things. Transplantation of blood. So in order to get the blood, they insert a needle to draw the blood, right? That's the type of surgery. Anesthesia, they enter needles, incision, tissue manipulation, and suturing. Anesthesia, right? So there's on the operating table, they always have an anesthesiologist, which is a nurse, who's usually monitoring the levels of anesthesia, right? Because people are different, right? First, intubated, right? Meaning a tube being inserted into you, and is placed on a mechanical ventilator, right? So if a tube is inserted into you, that's a surgery also. Anything that inserts into the body. Blood or blood expanders may be administered to compensate for blood loss during surgery. Once the procedure is complete, sutures or staples, extubated, right? Let's see what else. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys the definition of, we're going to go to the American College of Surgeons, which is where you get a lot of your, when it comes to surgery and the medical practices, a lot of their definitions are the ones, like one of the leading organizations that kind of define what surgery is. So we're going to go to ACS, American College of Surgeons, on needles, right? On space needles. So I'm just kind of showing you guys this because it's important to notice, but we're going to dive into the whole corona thing after this so you guys can understand, because you guys need to see this, right? So we're going to find a link to the American College Association. ACS recommended safety needles, double gloving, right? That's for like surgery and whatnot. Let me do this. Sorry, let me do this. Here we go. So here we go. I don't know if you guys can see this, but we have the ACS, which is the American College of surgeons. If you can't read that or see it, you can go zoom in. American College of Surgeons, right? Division of Education Student Resource Task Force, commonly used surgical instruments, right? So here are a list of the surgical instruments that are used, just common ones, some of them, not all of them. Scalpel, scissors, forceps, clamps, needles and sutures. Let me zoom in. Needles and sutures. Types of needles. Right? Needle shapes. Right? Now these look like suture needles, right? But they also have straight needle. Needle is a surgical instrument. Anytime you see a needle, they're performing surgery on you. Right? Surgery. Performing surgery on you guys. You need to understand that. So when they issue out these vaccines, don't go lining up. They're going to take everything from you so you can get vaccinated. Find a way to get your own stuff. Find a way to survive on your own. I know it sounds far-fetched, but hey, we all thought this corona thing was far-fetched. You know, when I first heard about corona, I actually put a mask on. And people were looking at me weird, like, who's this weirdo wearing a mask? And they were running away from me and all that, or walking away from me. And now look, the rest of the world is wearing a mask because TV and media told them, not because they actually did their research. When I first heard about this, I'm like, a whole virus is running rampant. Oh, this is going to be huge, right? But then I learned about it more and more, and I knew it was just a ploy for them to use to control the world, you know. So, and look at the world now. Everybody's running around with masks. So check this out. Surgical masks, you know, the ones they're telling everyone to wear. Watch this. You guys are going to learn something today. So I hope some of you tune in and you see this video, because it's very important that you understand the world that you live in, and you're not just following because people tell you. The surgical mask, the things they tell you guys. So a surgical mask, also known as a face mask, is intended to be worn by health professionals. Not you, are you a health professional? No. So when I go to get when I go to the restaurant and get my food, and you're telling me, oh, you need a mask, you're not a health professional. Don't tell me to wear a mask, nor should you be wearing one. During healthcare procedures, you're not performing any procedures on me unless you're doing some crazy stuff with my food. I suggest you take that mask off. Stop trying to force me to wear one, or kick me out of your place of business because you think, you know, I'm supposed to be wearing a mask, right? It is designed to prevent infections in patients and treating personnel by catching bacteria shed in liquid droplets and aerosols from the wearer's mouth and nose, right? So it's only to prevent infecting a patient, right? Or from you spreading something to a patient when performing surgery, or when you're a healthcare professional. They are not designed to protect the wearer from breathing in airborne bacteria or viruses whose particles are smaller. I'm going to say it again. They are not designed to protect the wearer from breathing in airborne bacteria or viruses whose particles are smaller. I'll say it one more time for the hard of hearing and the ones who can't seem to, who are illiterate. Again, they are not designed to protect the wearer from breathing in airborne bacteria or viruses whose particles are smaller, right? So even, and I don't believe it, but even if coronavirus was as rampant, because coronavirus is a real thing, but it's not as rampant as they're saying. It's just a common flu. They're just trying to overplay it, right? Now, as far as a virus, you wearing a mask is not going to protect you from nothing, from no type of virus, all right? So now, with respect to some infections like influenza, they appear as effective as respirators. We're not talking about influenza. We're talking about something bigger, right? So they say it's bigger. It's actually not. It's not big at all. There's nothing going on. You're just a zombie and a follower and a sheep. They're the N95 and FFP masks, though the latter provide better protection in laboratory experiments due to their material, shape, and tight seal. Right? We're going to get into this material. Surgical masks vary by quality and levels of protection. Despite their name, not all surgical masks are appropriate to be used during surgery. Surgical masks may be labeled as surgical, isolation, dental, or medical procedure masks. Chinese health officials distinguish between medical, non-surgical and surgical masks. Surgical masks are made of a non-woven fabric created using a melt blowing process. We're going to dive into that, guys. Came into the U.S. in the 1960s and largely replaced cloth face masks in developed countries. I wonder why. Let's get it. The use of surgical masks during the COVID-19 pandemic has been such a subject of debate. I wonder why. As shortages of surgical masks is a central issue. Surgical masks are popularly worn by the general public all year round in East Asian countries like All right, so melt blowing process. You guys want to know some stuff? Check this out. You thought it was nanotechnology. You thought I was dumb. Listen to this. Melt blowing is a conventional fabrication method of micro and nano fibers where a polymer melt is extruded through small nozzles surrounded by high-speed blowing glass. The randomly deposited fibers form a non-woven sheet product applicable for filtration, sorbents, apparels, and drug delivery systems. The substantial benefits of melt blowing are simplicity, high specific productivity, and solvent-free operations. Choosing an appropriate combination of polymers with optimized rheological and surface properties, scientists have been able to produce a melt-blown fibers of an average diameter as small as 36 nanometers. That's the same thing that viruses and the bacteriophages. When I did my video on a virus and how virus enter the body, they enter the body through bacteriophages, right? And bacteriophages inject DNA and RNA, and they got something new called XNA, but that's a whole other video I need to make later down the road, right? Which is XNA is a created DNA, right? We're going to get into that later down the road, not this video. But when you dive into bacteria and bacteriophages, they jump onto host cells, and the viruses themselves aren't alive, but when they inject into the cells, they have something to live off of, which is you. You are the life, right? So when it comes into you, now you are giving it life to the coding, the DNA coding, which is you're just amplifying and multiplying the virus. So if you see this here, 36nm, which is super freaking small, bacteriophages are measured from 200 to 400 nm, nanometers, nanotechnology. You guys don't think this stuff is real. Now, what is rheological? It's the study of flow of matter, primarily in a liquid or gas state. So yes, these nanometers, these are these nanochips, nanotechnology is being issued, liquid or gas state, but also soft solids. It's a branch of physics. You see this? Polymers. Alright, let's go into it. Polypropylene, styrene, polyesters, polyurethane. You guys go look these things up. Polycarbonate. How much you want to bet half of these are poisonous? Look at this. And hygiene products. The high absorption of meltdown fabrics is exploited in disposable diapers and feminine hygiene products. Hello. Sorbents. Liquids. Non-woven materials can retain liquids several times their own weight. Thus, those made from polypropylene are ideal for catching oil contamination. Filtration. Filter liquids and gas. Apparels. Used for clothing. Your clothing has nanotechnology in it. Drugs. Hello, this is key. Drugs. Meltdown process can produce drug-loaded fibers for controlled, just like your weed. If you read the back of all the weed that you guys get, it's a controlled substance now. That's why they wanted to legalize it. Controlled drug delivery. So this process, melt blowing, as you can see, is the process, and this is how they create. You see it here? See the blue? The color of your masks? Y'all think it's a game, but it's simple. It's very simple. Alright, let's get back to it. Look. This is your surgical mask, and that's the material it's made out of. It's made out of a nanotechnology. And you think it's a game. And not only that, let's look at what oxygen, a depletion of oxygen from the body. Right? First off, we're going to look at OSHA's oxygen requirement in the workplace. OSHA, which is Occupational Safety Hazard Association, right? OSHA regulations on for oxygen in the workplace, guys. Check this out also. We're going to go over all these. So you guys want to think you know something. You need to wear a mask. You need to wear a mask. No, I'm not wearing a damn mask. Sorry, hold on. Regulations for oxygen space or oxygen. OSHA's oxygen concentration standards, occupational health, OSHA. Here we go, the actual website. Here we go, guys. Pay attention. Pay attention. What is this? What are you doing? Alright, here we go. Occupational safety standards, safety and health standards. This is OSHA. Title, oxygen. These are different types. Scope. This section applies to the installation of bulk oxygen systems in this industrial and institutional consumer premise. This section does not apply to oxygen manufacturing plants or other establishments operated by the oxygen supplier or his agent for the purpose of storing oxygen and refilling portable containers, right? So it doesn't apply to the movement and distribution and all that of the oxygen. This is just oxygen. Bulk oxygen systems, definition as used by bulk oxygen systems under the location. Here we go. As used in this section, bulk oxygen system is assembly of equipment such as oxygen storage containers, pressure regulators, safety devices that are connected and serves more than 25 cubic oxygen, normal temperature and pressure connected and services of more than 25,000 cubic feet. We're looking for something pertaining to oxygen levels within an environment. If you're operating a business or place of work or whatever the case is, right? So accessibility, leakage, elevation, distance between systems, general. So this is like storage and all that, right? So this is how to store the oxygen and all that. Flammable liquid storage below ground, combustible, flammable gas storage, highly combustible materials. Ventilation, this is good. 75 feet in one direction, 35 feet in approximately 90 degrees. Direction of confining walls, Congested areas, 25 feet from congested areas such as offices, lunchrooms. So this is where the oxygen, if there's oxygen tanks, has to be from their reserved exceptions. The distance in paragraphs, storage containers, foundations, construction, design, piping, tubing, selection, specification, calculation. Give me a second while I try to find oxygen in the workplace. Let me just type that in. Let's do that. Actually, insulation. Hold on. No, it's casings. Reliability with mounts, coupling, heating, grounding, cleaning, joints, accessories, installation, testing, security, venting, placarding, operating instructions, maintenance. Now, this just looks like maintenance. Hold on. Let's go to the top and actually see if we can find. Let's do this. Oxygen. We need a description. We need to see oxygen in. Come on. In the word place. Boom, here we go. Osha, government entity, right? This is a government office. Here we go. Oxygen deficient atmospheres, right? And this is just this is a workplace somewhere, shipyards, whatever. But this is it. Oxygen deficient atmospheres are the leading cause of confined space fatalities in shipyards. While normal atmosphere contains between 20.8 and 21% oxygen, that's a normal atmosphere anywhere, not just here in these shipyards, anywhere. Should find as oxygen deficient any atmosphere that contains less than 19.5% of oxygen, as oxygen enriched any atmosphere that contains more than 22%. Oxygen deficient atmospheres may be created when oxygen is displaced by inerting gases such as carbon dioxide, which you're breathing through your mask, by the way, guys. Nitrogen, argon, or the ship's inert gases, and this is for the shipyard, whatever, or firefighting system. Oxygen can also be consumed by rusting metal, ripening fruits, drying paint or coatings, combustion, or bacterial activities. Oxygen enriched may be produced by certain chemical reactions. But in the shipyard, shipyard we don't care about. Oxygen enriched atmospheres present a significant fire or explosion risk. So this isn't even just a requirement for the shipyards. Let's go back. 20.8 to 21% of oxygen is normal, they say, for us to be breathing. Anything greater is oxygen efficient, right? General protection guidance for employers and workers. Here we go. OSHA is for the workplace. Occupational, which is work, occupational safety and hazards administration. Sorry, not associates, administration. What is a respirator? The respirator is a device that protects you from inhaling dangerous substances, right? How do respirators work? Right, filter out dust, right? Chemical, cartridge, gas, mask, respirators, right? Self-contained breathing apparatus, power, air, purifier, respirator. These are all the different type of respirators, right? Respirators made from. What optional features are available for respirators, right? Containment from gases, right? Cautions, limitations for using respirators. How well does a respirator need to fit me? Can I wear a respirator if I have a beard? We already went over what a surgical mask is. It doesn't protect you from any viruses, airborne viruses, or anything you can get from somebody. So even if you have a beard, you put one on. Can anyone wear a respirator? Will my cartridge? Will gas mask? Okay, so that wasn't necessarily what we were looking for. That's general protection. Okay, so I guess I read that wrong. Let's go back and actually see what OSHA says about oxygen levels in the in the workplace. I mean, we kind of saw it in the shipyards, right? How about I put oxygen levels in the workplace? Let's do that. Oxygen level. Let's do it like this. Let's try it again, guys. Stay tuned, because you know this is important stuff. There we go. Oxygen concentration standards. This is what we're looking for. Osha. This is from, shoot, what's today? Today, the 16th? It's a couple days ago. OSHA standards for minimum oxygen levels mainly apply to indoor spaces with ventilation. In addition to mines, the hazard of decreased oxygen concentration applies to construction workers, shipyard, HVAC, electrical workers, and some manufacturing environments. And this is in addition to mines. To meet the minimum standards set by OSHA, your employer's workplace must have an oxygen concentration of at least 19.5%. The minimum is slightly lower, right? I don't know what this is. Hold on. The minimum is slightly lower than the normal concentration of oxygen, which is 20.8 to 21% in our atmosphere. However, an employer's failure to meet the minimum would be deficient and considered hazardous. So if you go somewhere, a place of employment, or even you're speaking to someone who works at a place where they're employed, they're sitting there forcing you and them themselves wearing a mask, right? They're a danger to themselves. When you go into a place of business and you're wearing a mask, you're a danger to yourself. So, and you're yelling and telling people to wear a mask. You're going to deplete them from doing that, because once you wear that mask, once you put that cover on your face, which by the way doesn't protect you, surgical mask do not protect you, and even if it's not a surgical mask, you're using the cloth mask, which prevents you from getting oxygen, right? So now that we've learned this, right? Now that we've learned this, that's their requirement. That's the minimum, and that's below what you need. It's below what you need, and it's the minimum. Let's see how much oxygen the body is depleted of when wearing a mask, right? When breathing in carbon dioxide, right? Let's say over a 24-hour period. Let's go. How is CO2 hazardous? How long do you have to breathe CO2 for it to be hazardous? How hazardous? is CO2. Carbon dioxide is a colorless gas with a density about 60% higher than that of dry air. Carbon dioxide molecules consist of carbon atom covalently double bonded to two oxygen atoms. It occurs naturally in Earth's atmosphere as a trace gas. Carbon dioxide is odorless at normal encountered concentrations, but at high concentration it has a sharp and acidic odor. At such concentrations it generates the taste of soda water in the mouth, right? Okay. CO2 is produced by all aerobic organisms, which includes you, because you breathe, when they metabolize organic compounds to produce energy by respiration. Yeah, see, there you go. You do this process, respiration. It's breathing, right? It is returned to water via the gills of a fish and to the air via the lungs of air-breathing land animals, including humans. Carbon dioxide is produced during the process of decay of organic materials and the fermentation of sugars in bread, beer, and wine. So the more you drink, hey, guess what? You're producing more carbon dioxide. So if you're drinking, you're going out wearing your mask to go out for a night in the town and drinking. So it is produced by combustion of wood also, and other organic materials such as fossil fuels such as coal, feed, petroleum, and natural gas is an unwanted byproduct in many large-scale oxidation processes. For example, in the process of acrylic acid oxidation. Chemical reactions of CO2, isolation, product production. Let's see. Let's just read through it. Chemical properties. Let's do this. Effects of CO2, right? Because we're gonna go in. Effects of CO2 on the body. You have to know the type of research you're doing. You can just look things up and go, see, that's what my point was. No, we're gonna go. We're gonna dive deep. So we're gonna do the effects, not effects, effects. Right? Effects of CO2 exposure. There we go. Carbon monoxide poisoning, carbon dioxide exposure effects. So if you're paying attention and you care about your health and you care about being lied to, or you just want to follow the media because, oh, Dr. Such and Such, who I never met, I just saw him on the talking box in my living room. You know, he says I need to wear a mask. Okay, I guess I'll wear a mask. What is carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is a colorless odor. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see its effects. What are the health effects of carbon dioxide? CO2 is considered to be minimally toxic by inhalation, right? Primary health effects caused by CO2 are the result of its behavior as a simple asphyxiant, which is when you're asphyxiated, you're deprived of oxygen. A simple asphyxiant is a gas which reduces or displaces the normal oxygen in the breathing air. The normal oxygen in breathing air, right? So if you're all outside, you're going to these places, right? And look. They brought up Osha. Look at that. Osha permissible exposure limits. Look. Let's look at this, right? Symptoms of mild CO2 exposure may include headache and drowsiness at higher levels, rapid breathing, confusion, increased cardiac output, elevated blood pressure, and increased arrhythmias may occur. Breathing oxygen-depleted air caused by extreme CO2 concentrations can lead to death by suffocation. So that's one on extreme levels, but if you're exposed to it over time because you're wearing a mask day in and day out, week by week, everywhere you go, sitting in your car, you're going to get exposed. Let's see, let's check it out. So different levels. So 5,000 ppm, I don't know what ppm is. What do they say ppm was? What is ppm? They don't say what ppm is. Okay, so we're just going to look at these percentages, right? OSHA's permissible exposure limit. This much. 0.5% for 8 hours of exposure. This is normal for you to be exposed to. You'll be okay for an 8-hour period. Above that, which a lot of you have been doing because you've been wearing a mask day in and day out, above that is what? Typically no effects, but possible drowsiness. You're drowsy. I wonder why. If you're feeling drowsy at all, you wonder why. Anything above that. I wish they had the time slots for these. Mild respiratory stimulation for some people. Above that, 3%. Moderate respiratory stimulation. Increased heart rate and blood pressure. So if you're feeling heart palpitations or whatever the case is, it's because you're wearing a mask and your body is trying to compensate. Drowsiness. You get this from lack of oxygen. That's why when you yawn, when you yawn, you breathe in more because your body's trying to compensate for the oxygen you're not giving it. And so when you yawn, someone thinks, oh, you're tired, you're drowsy. That's where that comes from. 4%, immediately dangerous to life or your health. Right, 4%. So 4% would be what? So over half a day, right? Half a day right here, right? Not even that. It's 3 days. So after 3 days of wearing a mask, this is what will happen. Not will happen. Of course, you're taking breaks, taking it off. You're breathing and everything, right? But over time, you're doing this to your body. It's a slow death to your body. You're causing distress on your body. Your body's trying to overcompensate for something you should be naturally doing, all right? 5%. Strong respiratory stimulation, dizziness, confusion, headache, shortness of breath. 8%. Dim sight, sweating, tremor, unconsciousness, and possible death. OSHA has established a permissible exposure limit of CO2 for 5,000 parts per million. That's within ppm, parts per million. Right, so 5% of CO2 in the air. 0.5%, sorry. 0.5%, half. 0.5% of oxygen or CO2 in the air averaged over an 8-hour workday. Time-weighted average. Right, TWA. The American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists recommends 8 hours of time-weighted average threshold limit to be about 5,000 parts per million, and a ceiling exposure limit not to be exceeded of 30,000 parts per million for a 10-minute period. A value of 40,000 is considered immediately dangerous to life and health. Immediately. That's 4%. 4%, right? Let's see how much in a single breath does the human body put out oxygen, or CO2, I'm sorry. Because we're going to go into this. We're going to see how much the human body puts out CO2. Let's check it out. Alright? How much CO2 does the human body produce in one breath? Let's see that. CO2 do humans emits? Here we go. Breathe out. Emit. Same thing. Through masking, to breathe too much carbon dioxide. What are we doing? Where is my cursor? What? I hate when they do this. Alrighty. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's a little article. We can read the article. Go substantiated with some other knowledge from like maybe a website or something. Here we go. Whoa. Don't do that to me. Go back. So if you guys are keeping up, check this out. How much does human breathing contribute to climate? No, we don't want that. Check this out. Check this out. Check this. We just went over it. You see why we preface the information before we jump into the articles? Unlike you idiots who just pick up a single article and think you believe it wholeheartedly. We're on this little article here. Look. Human CO2 exhalation, a whopping 40,000 parts per million. So when you breathe, you're already hazardous to, you're already dangerous to your life. Look. You're already a danger to your own life. Look. Because we already went over what that is. OSHA says this many parts per million when you're breathing out, it's immediately dangerous and hazardous to human life. Now let's read it right. So let us take the lower number. What is 15 times 60? It equals 900 exhalations in every hour. Let us now multiply 900 by 24 to get the number of breaths in 24 hours. That comes to a 21,600 exhalations of carbon dioxide at 40,000 parts per million in one single day of an average person. So go ahead, wear your mask. You're depleting yourself. And we'll go back to that little thing. Let's go. Check this out. Osha's little thing. Look. Where was it? Where was it? Boom. Here we go. Right. 40,000. Right. 4%. That's 4%. What is the requirement for OSHA in the workplace? It is the average that we breathe is 20.8 to 21% of oxygen. The minimum for OSHA is 19.5. You take 19.5 away from that. You take 4 away from 19.5. 15. You're only getting 15% of the oxygen you need to survive. You're literally killing yourself by wearing a mask you're not even supposed to be wearing. But I noticed that my videos are silent. I noticed that I have no comments when I put out the truth. See, now when I say something, oh yeah, you guys hop on that real quick. You hop on it real quick. But when I provide the proof, and these are governmental websites. Look, .gov. These are real websites for this information. Now, if you want to say this is faulty, the internet's wrong, that's your excuse for everything, well then somebody needs to go to the government and then protest this because the government is lying. But if not, if you take this as true, which I do, because it's a government website, guess what? You are killing yourself by the government standards. As they tell you to put on a mask, stay home, don't get oxygen, don't get sunlight. You got me messed up. So where are you guys now? You know what I'm saying? Every time I put the facts out, I get like 2 views. Is it the algorithm or is it you guys just being ignorant? I think it's both. So, you're messing with somebody that likes to come and bring the facts and ask the right questions and read through all the BS. Now watch. We just went over all this. Now watch. I'm going to go to YouTube and we're going to pull up some news articles or some news videos about what they're saying.
Thanks.
When it pertains to COVID. Look at who says what? Who on COVID-19 rise in Europe? It's a wake-up call, right? Let's see what they were saying about masks. Let's see. Wear your mask. Let me type that in. Wear your mask. Let's see what people are saying. Look, this is Nancy Pelosi.
We're here live with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Oh no, these are some deep fakes. Let me not mess with that. Look, what happens to your lungs when you wear a face mask every day? Look, they're already talking about it. Look, wants you to wear your mask. Michael Rappaport, I don't know who this is. Some celebrity.
We're fucking three months, almost at the 4th month of a fucking pandemic. Okay, and we're still discussing whether or not you should wear a fucking mask or not. Put the fucking mask on your fucking face. Okay, all of a sudden everybody's a
look at this idiot.
Disease expert.
Listen to this idiot.
Scientific expert. Your fucking your civil rights lawyers. My rights, my speech. The masks are killing people. Tony F. Not to be surprised.
They are killing you. We just went over that.
Tony F. Tony Fauci, the good doctor.
He's not a good doctor.
He's telling you to put
He's
the
not a
mask
good doctor.
on. Now, just because we have a fucking scumbag as a president who doesn't want you to wear a mask, and he's the only person in the world that doesn't wear a mask, and we have a vice president.
First off, speaking about Trump, I don't support politics or the presidency thing. But I do want to say that Trump is always being misquoted, and if you guys don't know that by now, it's not even just Trump, it's anybody on a social platform, on a huge media platform. He's being misquoted. So go get the facts before you condemn a man that you know nothing about. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the truth. I'm not defending him. I don't support him. I don't support anything in politics. So I don't even vote because that stuff is rigged. But yeah, I needed you guys to see that. Let's see what else people are saying. Look, they call us anti-maskers and the face mask debate. Look at that's what they call us.
Keep your distance and wear a mask. It's the advice that's been given to millions of people around the world. And following that recommendation has become, for many, the norm. But others refuse to comply.
When you wear a mask, which you can certainly do, you are further pushing the agenda that is condemning all of us.
6 months into the pandemic, the use of face masks is still up for debate. So, is the recommended approach still the way to go? Welcome to your COVID-19 special here.
Look how stupid he looks.
These, I'm tired of breathing through them. You might be as well. But experts say not wearing face masks during the pandemic isn't an option. And then there's the US. Nowhere is the discussion around wearing face masks probably as polarizing as in the United States. Far from being merely tired of them, many people simply have never wanted to wear them.
Are you going to allow the government to tell you you have to wear a mask?
Hell yeah. See, I like that.
The time is now. It's time for action. Thank you guys very much.
See, so anti-maskers, the people that wear a mask in their car,